Yeah, it's a really good question. Well, again, it's like it's multifaceted. So one area of this is that I actually think that as an art form, the dark ride is underappreciated. I know that sounds really weird, but dark rides, not coasters, but dark rides, that kind of sequential diorama that really, I mean, there's probably earlier precursors, but the first really ambitious one was the 1939 Futurama at the World's Fair, um, are a way of immersively entertaining people that is intractably physical, so it's not like a VR experience, and requires a huge amount of craftsmanship and narrative skill, and I just find them, they kind of tickle me in my chest the way that a beautiful painting might, or a great piece of music might. And of all the people who make dark rides, Disney are the best. So on that purely aesthetic level, I really like what they do. And it kind of as above, so below. The parks themselves are organized on principles that are very dark ride-like. And so being in that very immersive experience that's kind of a big, mad social experiment is always really cool too, you know, like being in the first days of a better world, you know. And then I mean, I think that technologically they've done just some really interesting stuff. Mostly I think what they've done is they've shown how moderate levels of technology combined with showmanship can deliver experiences that are far more impressive than extremely high technology material. Like in the Haunted Mansion, everyone's been through the Haunted Mansion, I think. It's my favorite ride. And there's a scene, a couple of big scenes that people usually assume are done with holograms. But they're from 1969. They predate commercial hologram use, and they're, even by contemporary standards, no one would really do these as holograms. They're way too ambitious. What they are is they're an effect called Pepper's Ghost that dates back to Victorian Carney shows. And the way that Pepper's Ghost works is you have a sheet of glass, and then you have someone sitting here, and then down here underneath the person where they can't see it underneath the floor, you have like a mannequin or a person, and you bring a light up on that person, and they're reflected in the glass, and they appear to be there, and depending on the degree to which you light them and the ambient light around it, they can be solid or transparent. And so what they have is a bunch of robotic mannequins that they selectively and very skillfully light that looks more high-tech, more convincing than the best hologram you've ever seen. And so there's a real lesson there about how the conjurer's art is in some ways more important than the engineers, and how the creative application of engineering is far more compelling than mere brute force engineering, than just throwing money at the problem and coming up with bigger lasers.
Right. So is that something that you would have done in another life?
Yeah, you know, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an Imagineer. I have friends who've worked for Imagineering, and they say that it's not all it's cracked up to be. At the end of the day, you're working for a great big company, and it has all those problems. And I'm very temperamentally unsuited to work for a great big company. I had never worked at a salaried job until I started a company and took a salary there. And then I left and went to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, worked for an activist group for several years, and then I left to go freelance again. And that's been my entire history as a salaried employee, right? 3 years at a company I started, and 5 years at a civil liberties, nonprofit civil liberties group. That's it. So and neither of those had more than like 25 people in them. So working for like a big 20,000 person multinational, all other considerations aside, I think I'd blow my brains out.